Hey everyone! Today we're diving into something that's right at the core of our worship. It's an idea that might challenge us a little, but it could completely reshape how we think about what it means to connect with God.
When we think about worship, our minds usually go to Sunday morning, right? Singing songs, praying, maybe lifting our hands, and all of that is great. But is that all there is to it? Is worship just about what we feel in a moment, or is there something deeper, something more that's being asked of us?
So in this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. We'll start with worship's deeper dimension. Then we'll really define what obedience means. After that, we'll look at a huge conditional promise in the Bible. Check out Abraham's ultimate test of faith, and then bring it all back to how it applies to your life today.
So what is this deeper dimension I'm talking about? Well, think of it this way. Our worship often starts in a place of holy expectation. We come to God expecting to feel something, to receive a touch from Him. But that's just the starting line. Real, complete worship finds its finish line in holy obedience. If our worship doesn't actually move us to do something, we're missing half the picture.
And that, of course, brings us to our main topic, obedience. Now, this isn't about just blindly following a list of rules. No, it's presented as the actual key that unlocks a deeper, more profound experience of God's presence. So let's break that down.
The source gives us a really powerful definition here. It says obedience is being submissive to an authority you honor. That last word is everything. You see, you can't genuinely submit to someone or something you don't respect or hold in high regard. Honor has to come first. It's the foundation that makes real obedience even possible.
And this just lays out the flow perfectly, doesn't it? It all begins with step one, truly honoring God's authority in our lives. When that honor is in place, step two, submitting to what He asks, becomes a natural next step. And it's through that act of submission, that obedience, that we get to step three, experiencing His presence in a way we couldn't before.
This whole idea that honoring God through obedience leads to blessing, it's not new, not by a long shot. It's woven all through the Bible, going way back to God's call to the nation of Israel. Right from the get-go, God made it clear that the path to experiencing His presence was paved with obedience.
Just listen to the power in these words from Deuteronomy. Notice it's not a passive thing. It's a three-part action. You have to listen carefully, then you observe, and then you do. And the promise attached to that? It's incredible. God Himself will set you on high. The connection between obeying and being elevated couldn't be clearer. So this sets up a pretty stark contrast. On one side, you have obedience. It's a spiritual act that lifts us up and gets us in tune with God's big picture plan. And on the other side, well, that's what the source calls carnality. It's basically our self-interested, worldly nature that keeps us focused on ourselves and, well, keeps us down. The big idea here is that obedience is the very thing that helps us fight against that lower nature. It's how we choose the higher road. Okay, now for maybe the most profound, the most intense example of this principle in action, Abraham's ultimate test. I mean, this story is the absolute pinnacle of faith being shown through some truly radical obedience. And it resulted in a legacy of favor that we're still talking about today.
Seriously, just try to put yourself in his shoes for a second. You've waited decades for the son God promised you. And then God gives you this command that seems to go against everything He's ever said. It's just unimaginable.
Take that son, Isaac, your only son, and offer him up as a sacrifice. I can't even fathom the silence on that 3-day journey to the mountain. Every single step Abraham took was an act of faith, an act of obedience in the face of something that made absolutely no sense.
But look at what happened. Because Abraham obeyed, because he trusted God even when he couldn't possibly understand, God showered him with favor. He stopped the sacrifice at the last second, provided a ram instead, and doubled down on the promise that Abraham would be the father of many nations. It was his obedience that unlocked that next level of blessing.
All right, so we've talked about the principle. We've looked at the history. But what does any of this mean for you and me, right here, right now? This is where the rubber meets the road, because this is where it gets personal. This quote from the source really nails it. Let me say it again. Our obedience dictates our future experiences with God. It's not about earning His love. That's already a given. It's about demonstrating that we can be trusted. Our willingness to follow His lead today determines how much of His plan, His kingdom agenda, He can entrust us with tomorrow.
When you really boil it all down, it comes to this. Obedience is the outward proof of our inward commitment. It's the thing that takes our faith from being just an idea or a feeling inside of us and makes it real and visible to the world.
True worship isn't just something we feel, it's something we do. So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this question to chew on. It doesn't have to be some huge Abraham-level test. It could be something small. Maybe it's forgiving someone you don't want to forgive. Maybe it's being more generous or spending a little more time with him. What is the one act of obedience, big or small, that God is asking of you today? Because right there, in that simple choice, that's where real worship begins.